If you're already thinking about this year's holiday, you might well be wondering where it's safe to go now and how extreme the weather might be. So, here to help us out with what we should be considering and where might still be good to go is travel expert and adventurer Jarrod Kite. Jarrod, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.
So, a lot of Brits are reassessing this year when it comes to holidays, aren't they?
They are, yes. I mean, yeah, the research we've done, I think, certainly shows that the appetite for travel hasn't diminished by any means. But the world in which we travel is fast changing and therefore unpredictable. So, we need to take stock and think about how we can navigate that fast changing world to ensure that traveling remains sort of safe, fun, fulfilling, and critically sustainable.
And our British Armed Forces are no strangers to travelling maybe to places you wouldn't go on holiday for work, but when it comes to their own time, they want to travel somewhere safe. What would your top recommendations be?
I mean, in a general sense, I would recommend that they do seek advice from an expert. Now, you might think, well, he would say that he's a tour operator, but I think I don't need to be telling the armed forces about the importance of planning and research. But we certainly that's what we're telling all of our clients. Get online, use the resources that are available to them to gather information. But then I think it's important that we make the distinction between information and knowledge. And Steps Travel have been operating for 35 years. We've got intimate knowledge of the countries to which we travel, to which we send our clients. We've got a vast network of people with whom we work with on the ground that can give us very up-to-date, accurate information. And so clients can get themselves informed and then come to somebody like Steps Travel to help them make sense of that information and to put it into some sort of context. But one thing I would say, though, I certainly don't want people to be thinking of the world as an unsafe place in which to travel. I think, it is still a big and beautiful world. It just needs that research and that expertise to ensure that you can still explore that big and beautiful world in a safe, as I say, fun, fulfilling and sustainable way.
And we've also got to consider budgets. After the pandemic, cost of living crisis, is cheap and cheerful still a thing?
That's a really good question, George, and I think it's not a thing as much. And I don't think it's right that we should be paying such cheap fares for flying. We need to start paying the true cost of flying, and that isn't just a financial cost. Of course, it's the cost to natural resources, the natural capital that we need to be taking on board here as well. That's not to say you still can't find places that offer good value for money. And I think it's about value rather than cheap and cheerful. And an example of that, say, would be somewhere like Albania, which is really gaining in popularity because it is more affordable, one of the more affordable places in Europe at the moment. And just across the coast from Corfu, it has that beautiful coastline that you would get from the Greek islands. It also has a wealth of fascinating Roman history and archaeology that one can explore. And for clients that are looking for something a little bit more energetic, a bit more active, you can go up into the mountains called the Accursed Mountains. These were the old freedom routes that people used during the wars, during the Balkans wars, to get out of various countries where they were being persecuted. So not only beautiful landscape scenery trekking, but also trekking in an interesting sort of historical sort of narrative to it.
Jarrod, I was going to ask you this exact question because I'm going to Albania later this year, and I was going to say, what do you reckon? Is it good? Is it not? You've just sold it to me, so I'm happy with that. Thank you.
That wasn't pre-prepared, was it, Ben?
No, it wasn't. We didn't speak beforehand, did we? So where should we avoid? There's going to be some obvious answers to this, but is there anywhere else that we should be perhaps steering clear from?
I, as I say, I don't want people to be of that kind of mindset. And that's not to say that having done their research, they shouldn't then say, do you know what? Yes, let's put that one on hold for a couple of years and let, say, for example, a geopolitical situation just calm down. I think it's more about sort of looking, at the different kind of places that are now available. One thing that the research told us was that 60% of those people questioned would consider what was quoted as less obvious destinations. Now, Steps Travel has been encouraging its clients to step off that well-traveled path for the last 35 years, and the rewards that you can get from doing that, are really sort of exponential. Right now, we've got clients traveling in Antarctica on expedition voyages. We've got clients tracking tigers in central India. We just had clients come back from Chile, so this is a great time to be visiting Chile and Argentina. They went up into the Atacama, which is a beautiful, surreal sort of landscape, desert landscape, but it is also a place where a lot of research is done in terms of astronomy. So our clients went out to one of the big telescopes out there, met with some of the researchers, and they sent us the most wonderful photo of them sat in the desert in the middle of the night with this huge, vast Milky Way stretched out above their heads, as you can imagine, with a big, big smile on their faces. So, the world is still accessible. It's very accessible. It's still a beautiful place. And yes, there are parts of it that perhaps are best avoided. But in order to find out where they are, do your research and speak to an expert to help you travel in a fun and safe way.
And it being January, any insider tips on when and how to book? Is it something it's best to do now or leave nearer towards the time? How does it work these days?
We always encourage people to get ahead of the game. And we're finding that capacity is becoming more and more of an issue. Certainly as when parts of the world sort of open up. So, for example, I'm talking about China, which has been very slow to open up after the pandemic. And Chinese people are really traveling in big numbers more and more. The American market is really buoyant at the moment. So all of that creates quite a bit of stress and pressure on availability and capacity. So, George, to answer your question, get ahead of the game and book early to ensure that you get exactly what you want, that you don't have to compromise. And if you book with a tour operator, you do have protection should something go wrong. As a tour operator, Steps Travel is obligated to give you an alternative holiday or refund you in full should the destination you chose come up on the Foreign Office's list of places not to travel to. So as long as you do it with a recognized registered tour operator, you don't go sort of booking it yourself online, then you can get ahead of the game, get something in the diary to look forward to, and do it safe in the knowledge that you've got financial protection and a safety net there.
And Jarrod, what would your dream trip be? A man of your knowledge, what would your trip be?
Oh, wow. I love when I travel, space travel is my big thing here. And I don't mean that sort of ego-driven Elon Musk sort of intergalactic, interplanetary kind of stuff. I mean places on the map that still have the luxury of space, room to think, room to explore, room to breathe. So I'm really keen to go up to northeastern Pakistan.
Oh, wow.
That's on my hit list. I really want to go up to the Karakoram area, to the Hindu Kush, do some trekking in the Himalayas, meet some of those remote mountain communities there, where tourism can make such a huge difference to these people, not just economically, but also just from the point of view that the contact that one can have with these sort of remote communities. And I think we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that tourism can really make a positive difference to people around the world, as long as it's done carefully and managed properly.
And one last question, because I just find this fascinating. How do you get the title of adventurer?
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you, George. I wasn't aware that they'd given you that title, but I'll take it nonetheless. I'll take it nonetheless. I don't know, it's yeah, I am fortunate in that I'm in a job that I absolutely love and get to travel as a result of. There are plenty of people out there who perhaps deserve that title more than me, but I'll take that.
Jarrod, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning, and fingers crossed you make that dream trip this year.
Thank you so much. Lovely to talk to you guys.